An Elephant Story by Shirley Christian. For many thousands of years, elephants have been very helpful to mankind. Whether Asian or African, elephants are sensitive and intelligent creatures. Elephants have been around for 40 million years, though they have changed in appearance over time. It is believed that the elephants in India were the first to become domesticated. The males were trained and used for war by India, China, and Persia. Since ancient times, elephants have been used to lift heavy things and to uproot trees out of the ground. Many rajas or other royal or holy people rode on elephants. They are very useful for people to ride while traveling or hunting because they fit in naturally with other wild animals, and they are larger and mightier than predators such as tigers. Most working elephants are female. In the wild, elephants live in big herds made up of female or cow elephants, and their babies, which are called calves. The males or bulls in the herd are few if any, and mostly they roam alone. Baby elephants grow slowly and stay close to their mother and other cows for the first 3 to 4 years of their lives and grow until they are about age 14. Elephants are happiest around other elephants. They are very social creatures. As elephants are fascinating to people, they began being sent to places all over the world and were often placed in zoos or circuses. Still today, circus shows with elephants remain popular because of the elephant's ability to be trained to perform and also because of its sheer hugeness. Only female elephants are used in circuses. Shirley was born in the wild in 1948 in Sumatra, Indonesia. As a young elephant of 5 years old, Shirley was captured from the wild and sent to America to be in the circus. Like all of the other elephants at the circus, Shirley quickly learned to do the tricks that she was taught. By the time that she was an adult, Shirley was a highly trained performer. So much so that they sent her to circuses all over the world. On her way to Nova Scotia, the ship that Shirley was on caught on fire, but she was freed just in time and swam to safety. When Shirley was 20 years old, she met Jenny. Jenny was a calf that had been captured and taken away from her wild herd in Sumatra, Indonesia, when she was only 4. And she loved Shirley right away. Shirley became Jenny's circus mom and helped to keep Jenny from missing her herd too much, and she kept her safe. Shirley and Jenny were inseparable. 10 years passed by, and now Jenny was just as good as Shirley and the rest of the elephants at performing in the circus shows. One day, a new elephant was brought into the circus that was confused and frightened, and she charged Jenny. Doing her best to protect Jenny, Shirley got between them and ended up getting hurt by the new elephant. One of her back legs was injured so badly that she could no longer do circus tricks, and so Shirley was sold to a zoo. The zoo Shirley went to was very small, and they only had room for 1 elephant. Shirley seemed very sad to be alone, but Saul, the nice man who worked at the zoo caring for the animals, was very fond of Shirley. Saul did his best to spend a lot of time with her and found out what all of her favorite things were. She especially loved bath time. For 20 long years, Shirley lived at the zoo with her friend Saul, taking good care of her. Shirley was now 50 years old, and the zoo started looking for a place for Shirley where she could rest and be with other elephants. It was decided by the zoo that Shirley would go to the 2,700-acre elephant sanctuary in Tennessee, and once the reserve was ready for Shirley, she would be transported there. Shirley had not been in a truck for 20 years, and some of her previous experiences had been less than pleasant. Trying to get an elephant to go somewhere they do not want to go is near to impossible because they are so very big. So Saul talked to her softly and gave her carrots, which along with apples are Shirley's favorite snack. And finally, she slowly got into the trailer. Saul rode with her to keep her company and to help unload her once they got to the elephant reserve. For more than 20 years, Shirley had not seen another of her own kind, and no one knew just how she would react. Saul removed the chain Shirley had worn around her ankle, and all the while he talked to Shirley about her new home and her new freedom. "No more chains, Shirley, no more chains," Saul said, sounding like he was singing her a lullaby. Shirley unloaded from the trailer much easier than she got into it, and she followed Saul right into a private elephant-sized stall in the barn. Other elephants in the barn trumpeted in welcome, and Shirley trumpeted back to them. The stalls had vertical bars between them which were plenty big enough for the elephants' trunks to fit through, and the other elephants and Shirley touched, wrapped, and held each other's trunks through the bars. Saul and the other people who ran the sanctuary were happy with how well Shirley was doing, and they all decided to leave the barn for the night. In the huge expanse of the elephant sanctuary just after dark, a few more elephants set out to make their way to the barn. Jenny had been locked in a trailer for over a year before she came to the sanctuary 3 years ago, so she preferred being outside and loved roaming free so much that she was often the very last elephant in the barn. This particular evening, when she got close to the barn, Jenny smelled someone very familiar to her. It was Shirley! Jenny raised her trunk in excited joy and began to trumpet. Shirley heard Jenny's call, and she began trumpeting too. Soon Jenny was next to Shirley's stall, and they embraced and held each other's trunks tightly. By trying to get as close as they could to each other throughout the night, they even bent the thick stall bars. Early in the morning, when the sanctuary people and Saul came to check on Shirley, they found her and Jenny as close as they could possibly be, holding trunks through the bent bars. They opened the gate as quickly as they could manage to let Jenny inside the stall with Shirley. The people were amazed. They found out that Jenny and Shirley, who had been separated more than 20 years ago, had worked at the circus together. Saul knew that Shirley would be more than just all right. She would be fantastic. Even so, he knew that he would miss his old friend, so he gave her one last bath before she went outside to join with all of the rest of the elephants on the reserve. Jenny was patiently waiting for her mom to finish her bath right outside the barn so that she could introduce Shirley to her new herd. And from that point on, Jenny and Shirley were inseparable. The end.